Welcome to episode 565 of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salcido, and tonight I am sharing true paranormal stories from the elevator. Something a little bit different this time. More of a topic-based true paranormal stories from the web. So, as always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page. And that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds. I was going to say pages, but feeds is more accurate. Or if you listen on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, digital broadcasting, there you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting my shows up there. If you'd like to support the show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can sign up for the Patreon page, where you'll usually find one True Paranormal Stories from the Web episode there every month, whenever possible. And I'm working on getting that worked in so that you can also find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction. Can't remember if I said that or not, so I'll just say it again. Or you can also just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. Also, software, just different programs here and there that I've come to rely on or really feel like they help the show. So just all those things add up, and expenses and all that. So yeah, I think that takes care of all of that. So I mentioned this in Discord the other day. We're not going to be making this a regular part of the show. This will just be a special kind of show that'll come up here and there. Just because I don't want to add another sort of a deadline or another thing I have to try to figure out on a regular basis. So these will just be these sort of, I guess you could call them like spotlight episodes or that kind of thing. They will be just whenever I'm able to get the material together for them. And I feel like doing those. So we have 2 of them this week coming up here. This one is about elevators, and the next one is about gas stations. So hopefully you all enjoy both of those. So also, I am very happy to announce I have an anonymous volunteer that has offered to help with the show. So you may notice some probably better stories that they're going to help me find from around the web than I'm able to find, and probably faster. So I want to thank them. They want to remain anonymous, so I'm going to, of course, respect their wishes. But yeah, so, and I kind of pushed back against that for a long time because I wanted to make sure the show was just mostly me. But with my eyes and everything, it's just going to be easier, I think. We basically talked and everything, and we went over sort of my guidelines for finding stories. So hopefully it'll work out well, and the show should be great either way. I'll make sure that there's always stories either way, but looking forward to that, seeing what our new volunteer finds as well. So in the future, we may do more of that. I may have more people if you all want to volunteer. You're welcome to in the future, but I'm going to see how it goes with just one person first, and then we'll go from there as far as how many more we want to do that. So just that's something new to me as far as just the management of all of that. So I kind of want to take it slow with that. But anyway, these stories I've found just recently, and so we'll see how it goes. This first one says, and it says right in front, it says the person is a 22-year-old female, and they say, I work at a residential home, taking night shifts from either 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's quite a long shift. I've noticed that the place might be haunted, with elevators randomly going up and down and staying open for about 5 minutes. The one elevator I frequently use always has a strong smell of body odor, as if someone is in there with me. But the smell disappears within 10 minutes of me going back down after helping a resident. I keep the hallway lights off, upstairs and downstairs, and it feels like someone is watching me as I walk down the halls, with the floors creaking loudly at every step. When I entered the small chapel upstairs out of curiosity, I instantly got chills all over my body and goosebumps, which was a bizarre experience for me. As a scaredy cat, when it comes to the paranormal, I have jumped or freaked out over noises a few times, even though I love horror movies. Sometimes the pager shows a room number of a recently deceased resident, or my walkie-talkie randomly goes off with static. When accidentally paged by a resident, I've walked into completely dark rooms and caught glimpses of shadows or something disappearing, but I've never been hurt or actively haunted. I treat my residents like family when I'm at work and have never been rude to them, so I think the spirits don't mind my presence because of how well I treat everyone. I find it funny that I might be surrounded by spirits, but they seem to be okay with me being there. And that's where that one ends. So it does sort of go beyond elevators, but just you'll notice that in a few of these stories here, the randomly going up and down and then the doors staying open for a few minutes is fairly common. Now, I imagine in some cases you can explain that away with glitches in elevators and technical issues, but I always wonder, is that the case every time? There are so many stories of places where the elevators will just go up and down, hotels and all that kind of thing, hospitals, I believe, even. So, really is amazing. And I wonder if it's just because of that, all the energy it takes to make them go up and down, sort of that liminal space of it being just a place where people are coming and going whenever it's being used. All kinds of energy probably going in and out of there, maybe even in some cases getting stuck in there. All those things I think could probably play into that. So moving on to the next story here. This one says, I live in an apartment building in a complex with 2 buildings, mainly filled with older, wealthy people. And I've lived there my entire life, but only in this specific apartment for 3 years. Wow, that's a long time to be in one area, especially like an apartment building like that. I keep to myself, and I don't recognize one older person from the next, but there's one older man I see occasionally, around 2 to 3 times a month, always walking into the lobby and getting onto the elevator with me. This old man seems to be between 75 and 85 years old, looks healthy for his age, and has a thick accent, reminiscent of my great-grandfather's. Whenever we're in the elevator together, I ask what floor he's going to, out of kindness, and he always responds with, 7, sweetheart. It always goes to heaven, accompanied by an eerie yet kind smile. I've been seeing this man for a little over a year in the elevator, and he always says the same thing about the 7th floor, even when I don't ask. Recently, my fiance and I got into the elevator with the old man, and despite my fiance knowing everyone's faces in the building, he had never seen this man before. The old man complimented us, saying we looked like a bright and happy young couple, and blessed us before we got off at our floor. While talking to a building employee outside, I described my encounters with the old man, and the employee's face, turned pale as he revealed that the man I was talking about was O, and I just use initials here in some cases, or letters. So it was O, an old Polish man who used to live on the 7th floor, but had died 5 years ago. I stood in shock, trying to process what the employee had just told me, and realized that's what the old man meant when he always said, 7, that goes to heaven. And that's where that one ends. I'm just wondering now, after knowing that, did that writer ever, I'm guessing they never saw him again? Maybe? I don't know. But that's an amazing story there, and especially if it's sort of, it looks like a living person. It looks like a solid, just like a person who is here in the physical sense. And yet they've passed away now. But now, of course, I wonder with that. Although I don't know, because it does seem like he was aware that he was a spirit somehow, possibly, with that eerie smile, that kind but eerie smile. So I don't know. I guess it could be still be a time anomaly, but also it just could be some apparitions do look solid, completely solid. It's not always translucent or transparent figures. So, really neat story there. And it sounds like this happened, obviously, here and there. So I just wonder, now that this person knows, will they ever see this image again, this man again? I really, that's what I'm curious about with that one. So, but yeah, it could be. Maybe they do. That'd be quite the. I'd like to hear about that when they see them again and they're aware of this person had passed and how that encounter goes. But maybe I guess it hadn't happened yet as of whenever the person wrote that down. But yeah, really wild one there. So thought that was really neat. And how pale they, yeah, yep. Well, that was the employee that got pale when the writer was describing how the guy looked. So, but yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that's that guy. That guy has been dead for a little while now. Excuse me. So, but yeah, really neat one there. Okay, moving on to the next one here. This one says, this incident happened today at 6:50 a.m. while I was at work in some luxurious apartments in a major city in Texas. We have a single elevator in the building, and I get I got on it, finding it completely empty. I pressed the button for the 4th floor, and when I reached the floor, I exited the elevator and looked back to see no one inside. Just as the door was closing, I realized I had forgotten one of my tools. So I immediately pressed the button to reopen the doors. When the door opened, a lady came out with a weird face, her eyes almost popping out of their sockets, giving me goosebumps all over my body. The lady got out of the elevator and walked a couple of steps, while I, feeling scared, quickly got inside and tried to close the door fast. As I looked outside the elevator, the lady vanished right in front of me. And that's where that one ends. So there you have someone who, as far as they know, they were the only one in the elevator. And then someone appears and then walks out and then vanishes. That's an amazing one. I wonder if it seems like whoever this was that appeared, they didn't seem like they were, I don't know, they seemed like they were not in the best state either themselves. Seemed like they were maybe freaking out somehow, or I wonder if it was some kind of residual image. But it's odd that the way that happened, but it does sound like the writer there saw something. I wonder if they had delayed at all in getting out of the elevator, would this apparition have just appeared behind them and then gone through them? And that would have probably freaked them out even more than just seeing this apparition. But yeah, that's an amazing one. Yeah, does sound like this one too as well. It sounds like they saw this as a flesh and bones human being, and then they just vanished. So yeah, so I don't know, but another amazing one there. So let me see here. So yeah, I wonder. That's why I wonder about these elevators. Are they just conduits? Excuse me, yeah, with all that energy coming and going and around them and all of that. I mean, does it make it easier for entities and energies and all that to just be coming and going and sometimes they're visible to people and other times they're not. So I don't know. I feel like there's something to the elevator thing. That's sort of why I want to do this show. And so yeah, moving on to the next one here. We got 2 left. I think we can do it. This says, when I was 15, I went to Toronto and stayed with a Philippine family. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but family from the Philippines, living in a huge condo. At the time, I barely spoke English and got lost in the subway line, taking the elevator at midnight. Feeling drowsy and weary, I couldn't remember which flat I was staying in, so I pressed the buttons based on my gut feeling. The elevator started going up and down floors in a silly manner, as if many people had called for it from random floors. When it reached the 10th floor, it was, I guess they mean the doors open, it was pitch black with nothing there, not even a floor. I smashed the close door button, and after the elevator took its time, the doors finally closed. Scared, I decided to go down to the lobby and climb the emergency stairs as fast as my 15-year-old self could. After the experience, I somehow remembered where I was staying and climbed to the 12th floor, or 12th flat. Wow, that's a lot of stairs. Arriving at 3 a.m. Even if it took me an hour to climb the stairs, it couldn't have taken more than 1.5 hours to return to the apartment. I find it unbelievable that I was inside the elevator for about 2 hours, lost in whatever kind of limbo that dark flat was. And that's where that one ends. That's an example of some of the more intense or more paranormal experiences that I've heard over the years here and there. And that's just, I had one a little while back, I don't know, months back, maybe a year back, of someone that was in the library, and I didn't think to dig this out. It may be kind of hard to do that now. But they were in a library that they knew, and they took an elevator, and it stopped and opened, and the doors opened to reveal a hallway that they did not recognize as being part of the building. And then eventually the doors closed, and it went to where they wanted to go. So this is another factor. This is a little other level of elevators and the strangeness that can happen with that. Where are people going when they go to these places that they don't feel like they exist in this level of reality? How is that happening? Where are they going? And of course, I have no idea. But I'm gonna get to this last one just because I hate to leave just one left here. But let me see here. This one says, I have a business in a building, and every time I arrive at the hall on the ground floor, the elevator is already coming to me and opening once I'm in front of it. There is no system in the elevator that keeps sending it to the ground floor automatically. When someone else comes from the main entrance, they have to wait a minute or two to get the elevator. But in my case, it's like someone is running ahead of me to press the button and bring it to the ground floor. Even the security guard noticed this phenomenon. While I was talking to him, the elevator came to the ground floor without anyone pressing the button. I'm not sure if this is paranormal or not, but it's definitely weird. Whenever I'm alone, I swear, I'm sorry, no, I said swear. I never have to wait for the elevator. I always see the little screen showing that it's on the first floor and close to me. And that's where that one ends. So all kinds of stories there. And those, I'm sure, are just the tip of the iceberg. And so, yeah, that's why I wanted to do this episode and go from there. But it really is amazing. There's something weird about elevators. There's so many stories. Like I said, I'm sure this is just 5 that I found searching for them the other day in one website, in one part of one website. So maybe we could even come back and do another set of these elevator stories at a later date, I think. So, and yeah. So really, really neat stuff there. Again, the one with the opening the doors and having it just be darkness. That's a wild one to me. And then the missing time for that one. That's what I want to mention as well. It seems like there was missing time involved in the one with the 15-year-old there. That was at the time 15 years old. Seems like there was missing time involved there, possibly. So anyway, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening. And I'll talk to you all in the next episode of Salsidoparanormal. Take care.